Welcome back to BC Procast, episode 72. We are here today to talk to you.
Yo,
Did you hear what I just did?
Did you just rap?
I did, low-key. Today we're actually going to be talking about something pretty interesting. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment down your favorite, the best profession out there. Comment down the best profession out there right now. No, we did not pause. We were waiting for you to. Okay, so before we get into that, though, I have a little story. I want to tell you that. So, Caeden is, by the way, you can wear like the shirts when it comes up for this. So real quick, I know we've talked about the UFC before.
Where are the shirts?
Do not.
Oh yeah.
Do not click off. Okay, we're going to get somewhere cool, but I wanted to tell Caeden this. So, did you see that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you did.
What was that?
No.
Is that like a thing that you could chuck?
It's a booger.
It's like that big where you could chuck it?
Yeah. I'll throw it out. Dude, this is on the podcast, man.
Is it okay if I leave this in? I feel like this could get us some views. Hey, if that doesn't give you retention, did I say that right? If that doesn't keep retention, I don't know what will. So is that big where you could chuck it?
Do you know like
Because there's
the
like
green
flick?
the giant the green giant or whatever like that? I felt like I was a giant there, and like that booger that came out was like the person that climbed up my beanstalk.
Oh,
that was like in my nose.
Yeah.
And like a blue heart or something like that. So the UFC. I don't click off yet. There's a UFC event coming up. But your favorite fighter is on the fight.
Paddy the Batty.
Paddy the Batty Pimblett. Why do you like him?
I just love his personality. I think he's funny. I like that he fights, but he can also like wrestle a little bit. I feel like he's
a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and I feel like he's
actually more dangerous on the ground.
Really? Yeah. See, I didn't know that. I just liked how he fought, and I liked what he brings to it.
Yeah, he's also known for like off season, out of fight camp, eating like obscene amount of food and get like obese, and then lose it all and has six pack. It never makes sense.
Which is insane.
How that works. So this story then you would necessarily love. So here's the headline. Paddy the Batty goes to submit a guy, and the guy starts tapping, and he doesn't let go. Now I have the hook in. So Paddy has these news going around all about him, video going out where they had to have like a bunch of guys jump on him and pull him off this guy. Rewind. So Paddy has his team, and then there's opposing teams, obviously. And each opposing team, there's different gyms. They fight like in the same like fights, or they end up fighting each other, things like that. Like in organized, sanctioned fights for different organizations. So there's this one guy that was talking mad trash from a different team, not just about Paddy, but about his friends. Talking about like when they were in their like fight press conference, talking about like how his grandmother passed away, and like talking trash about it. He also talked about like who he is as a person, different things like that, and he kept rambling his mouth. This guy about Paddy and then his friends. So I believe one of his friends actually beat this guy who's the trash talker in a fight. But then the guy afterwards kept on talking trash and saying all these things. So Paddy got to a point where this guy's literally been like bullying and being annoying and being all this stuff and saying like not just mean things, but like hurtful things, deep things, family things. And so he started DMing him saying like, yo, you keep talking all this trash. Let's actually fight. Let's do something. He goes like, it doesn't have to be anything. Let's just square up. He's like, let's just square up, because if you know anything about Paddy, he is the type of guy where, as he was growing up, he would fight like in the bathroom. He'd fight kids at school. Like he would just fight. And his thing at the end of all this, his little saying was like, hey, yo, if you have a problem with people, like put on gloves and like I'll like put on some padding and like fight. He's like, there's no need for knives or guns. And like that's like kind of his thing. He's like at the end of it, just shake each other's hand and men are men. So game that was at the very end of it.
That's
After
such an
everything happened.
Irish thing to say.
Yeah, he's not Irish.
I thought he's from Ireland. Where is he from?
Liverpool.
England. Yes,
Liverpool.
England. I'm sorry. That's right. That's such an England thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like it's whatever.
It's whatever.
It's whatever.
Liverpool.
We'll fight.
If you want to have a problem, mate, square it up, tackle it, shake our hand, and let it be.
Just let it be. I feel like that's just what it sounded like.
So all this trash talking, he DMs him. He says, "Hey, I'm about to go on holiday." Which isn't that interesting? That's what they call like a trip.
Yeah, vacation. Yeah.
I'm going on holiday. I'm going on holiday. If you want to fight, let's do something before then. So I can take care of this before I go on holiday. And then the guy responded back saying, "No, I'm good. You're none of my problem." They're going back and forth, whatever. So then the guy keeps on rambling his mouth. Patty comes back from holiday, and this guy keeps on refusing to fight him.
Wow.
So he goes, "Listen, I'll come to you. I'll come to your gym, and we can fight." The guy was like, no. And then randomly said, yes. He's like, all right. Patty goes, I'll be there in 15 minutes. So him, and he goes with like his friend, and they start like fighting. So.
Like organized.
Sorry. They're in the gym. So they're on a mat, open mat. There's like probably like 30, 40 guys in a huge circle around him. It's the whole team. And he came to his gym with all his people around. And they have some leg pads, and they have gloves and a mouth guard. So, but they're fighting. So then he goes to, well, Patty, the guy was tapping, but he wasn't letting go. Okay. So in the text messages, they said, you want to fight? He's like, all right, let's fight. He's like, and Patty or the other guy says, well, I think Patty says, he goes, let's go straight to if someone gets knocked unconscious or gets choked, or who gets like choked out.
Dang.
So that's what he was saying. So the fight starts happening. They're going back and forth on the feet or whatever. And the guy's landing some stuff, but Patty's showing that he's a UFC fighter and landing stuff as well. But it's pretty even up top. You know, Patty's landing some more or whatever. And he gets to a spot where then Patty then gets a takedown on him. And now everyone, like a lot of people in the gym know that Patty on the ground is great. So they're like making jokes about standing them up and all that stuff. And then the guy who was recording is Patty's like mate. The guy he went with. And he's like, all right, better not tap. He goes, it's over. And like Patty hasn't even gotten him in like a submission at all. So they're working, gets him in the submission, puts him in a rear naked choke. I'm not kidding you. Patty squeezes for like 3 seconds. Like 1, 2, 3, and then the guy starts tapping. And Patty's squeezing. And the mate in the video is like, yo, don't tap. You going night. Don't tap. Like he's saying all this stuff. And then everyone else in the gym sees how he's not letting go and he's tapping. And then they ran in and then took Patty off. And then Patty was just like, and then he left. And later he said, because everyone was giving him, he's like, I wasn't going to address this. Because he's talking about it. He said, I wasn't going to address this at all. But since it's posted everywhere, everyone's coming at me. I'm going to tell you about. Before, we talked about how we would go until someone's unconscious from a knockout or they go to sleep. And he goes, when you go to sleep, all you're going to do is wake up. It's not even a problem. You're just going to wake up. You're not going to get hurt. And so he was saying that. And then he said, afterwards, I even offered to him, do you know what, mate? Let's just stand up and strike. I can fight you that way too. Dude, that's what happened though. Bro.
He's
right?
the GOAT. That's amazing.
By the way, this guy gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions. And I don't think he's gotten millions yet from like a fight.
Yeah,
but he's made a lot of money. Maybe him, from fighting. And this guy he fought for free.
Dude, that's insane.
I'll have to show you the video later. Anyway, that's like way off track. But do you have any thoughts?
He's like the baddest guy. He's dude. To do that, first of all, to have that confidence, I don't think I ever, even if I knew I was amazing, I don't think I would ever have like the guts to go to someone else's thing to actually like make this a full on let's spar, let's go at it. Even like in any sport, like I couldn't just be like, hey, let's 1v1. Because I'll choke under pressure.
I think I disagree with your statement because I think as we've gotten older and we've been working on skills for a longer period of time, your confidence in certain things have grown, correct?
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to think about it and you can just do it. And now I've done like, for example, drumming. I've drummed much longer than you've played piano,
Hmm.
and I'm at a place now where it's like, I can hold the beat like nothing.
Yeah.
Or like soccer, like, if I have the opportunity to play with high level competition or even a professional level, and I'm not like trying to like brag or anything
No, I
like
see what
that,
you're
but like
saying.
I put so much time into a sport that I know I could play my position. Now I'm not saying I'd be the best on the field or be
Yeah.
outstanding, but I can do my job. And I think you have specific things too in your life as you're doing them longer and longer that you have things that you can do that like completely you're confident in.
Yeah.
So I almost challenge you with that because I think Patty is at the level of jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
and of MMA that he goes, I have no problem going to your gym and doing it because say you get me striking, I'll take you down. Say I'm confident with striking, I can get you. And I think he just has experience stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe you're saying yourself, you're like, I don't know if I could do it, but I think you could if you've done something long enough and you have that skill like built up long enough. I
Yeah.
think you'd be great at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe.
Now, if you're bringing like a competitive side and things like that, and you're trying to stay humble, I get that where you're like choking under pressure, like, oh, I'm not trying to make it a thing. But I think you're at a level with a lot of different skills that you could go into enemy territory and challenge a 1v1 and whatever it
Yeah.
may be.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. You know who enemy territory I want to get into? The devil. Bro, so sidebar,
Off the
all the
sidebar.
sidebar. So I had my grandmother's funeral. Is that dating it? I don't think that's dating, is it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So my grandmother's funeral and everything that like a lot of what people were saying was how like she first of all she was super knowledgeable in the word and like the devil was like afraid of her. Like that's like it brings me back to like the verse where those dudes were going out and being like, "Oh, we can cast we demons out. We could do all that stuff." And so they go off and like the demons like beat them up and they say, "We know Jesus and we know Paul, but who are you?" Like that feels like a moment where it's like they're like, "We know Grandma Becky and we know Jesus and we know Paul, but who are you?" kind of thing. So it's kind of cool to hear about how she was so in depth in her knowledge, and she was seriously like constantly listening to sermons and reading the word. And so it's like when you like again like with the knowledge and with all that stuff with like having confidence in herself, like she was never. I've never even seen her afraid. Now that
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it,
everyone would say that the devil was scared of her.
yeah,
Everyone.
yeah, yeah, and I've never seen her afraid. And I actually just talked to someone who again like we think like the darkness and the evil is like scary and stuff like that, which in some sort in hindsight no, but like in the moment maybe yeah. Um, and this person was like he'd be like yeah I like there would be like a demon just chilling there, and he'd like get up and be like what are you doing like just talking. And I think in my mind, I can say I would be like, oh yeah, I'd probably do the same. But then like I know like sometimes later at night when I feel like certain things or it feels uneasy, I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of nervous. But then I like think about Grandma Becky or I think about this guy and I'm like, there's nothing to be afraid about. Did you know in the Bible it actually says that? Actually, I might need to be fact checked there. I won't even say it. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a day where we see the devil and he's gonna be like small and we're like, oh, so he was the one, like almost as if we're gonna turn the lights on or see the lights
Mm,
on and see how truly nothing is actually
yeah.
that scary.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think the devil and God are equal. Like the opposite of God is the devil.
Right.
But it's really not.
Right.
The devil has permission for God to do what he
Yeah.
does.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives us a lot of power as well.
I think that's even crazier. Like imagine like feeling like you have power, but you have to like ask someone permission to do something.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And be rest assured, if evil comes after you, just know God knows that you can handle it. I was like, yeah, let's just see what happens. Like what he says about Job, where he's like, oh, he's perfect in my eyes. He won't disobey me or whatever. He won't you can mess with him if you want to, knowing Job's heart.
Yeah. I was listening to the Sycamore Perspective, which, by the way,
Ooh, shout out.
yeah, that's a new podcast the Life Point Church has posted. It's hosted by Rob Yadernachek, Pastor Rob Yadernachek, and then Audrey Human. And then they have a lot of cool guests on. Caden's actually a guest. It's not, his episode's not out yet. But I was listening to one of the podcasts, and with Pastor Ian, he was talking about how it was really cool. It's all about like loneliness and getting out of that. But they were talking about how God loves you and He's there for you, and like no matter what, He knows of you and like the power and stuff. That any cry of help, any cry out to God, there will be a response.
Yeah.
Now it might not be a blatant, "Hey, I got you. I take you out of this." And even when you're talking the passing of your grandma, like there's a lot of cries out of your grandma's health and things like that, and like God moved in specific ways. In other ways, He chose a different route, but still answering to it.
Right.
And then, so that was just cool. That like, and I heard that, I'm like, oh my goodness, like that is so true. Like even if you feel like you don't hear him, there's still that answer. And then the other thing, which kind of like a glass ceiling shattering, was that what are the two greatest commandments in the Bible?
Love God and love your friends, or
Yes,
love your enemies.
love God and love your neighbor as like yourself. And he said both of those things, because they were talking about loneliness, both of those things, the greatest commandments, there's in between those two things that he commands the most, at the top of the list. Neither of them are you're by yourself. You're with people.
Wow.
Right?
That is
so
crazy.
You're with God, so
Yeah.
you're never by yourself. And then after you're with God, you're with others. And so Pastor Ian, Pastor Rob, and Audrey tied in together the fact of like when you're feeling something or whatever, the devil and the evil tries to separate you and take you away and like get to a spot of like making you alone. It's like you reach out to those people. You're there for those people.
Yeah, well, think about it too. Is like, I think about when do people sin? When do people fall short? It's mostly when they're by themselves. Like with lust, it's usually when they're just in their room alone or in a space where no one else can see. When you're like dealing with, when you're lying, only you know your thoughts. Only you know in your mind that you're lying. Like I think about sin, and I think the greatest, or no, I'm not even gonna say greatest, but I think the biggest weapon that the devil uses, or any evil in that sort, is truly loneliness, truly getting someone to be outside of the pack. I don't know if you remember. I think I talked about this earlier, but basically, I won't even share it then. I think when we're alone, we have no one to fall on. I like the Ephesians verse where it says, "It is better for someone," or no, it's not better for someone. It is how much greater is two than one. If someone falls, they have someone to lean on. And then how dangerous is it for a person to fall by themselves? Because there's no grabbing onto something that's there with like another human being that can potentially help or whatever. And I think if you get alone, it's dangerous territory, very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, and let's talk about this today. If you think about like any like animals traveling in packs versus traveling by yourself, and like with the people in packs, what they try to do to separate and then to attack. Like
Right.
when you're by yourself, you don't have like fortitude, you don't have any wisdom, you don't have like any like counseling, you have like no community.
Yeah.
And community is important. Now we're talking right now. I think the topic we should go off of, if you're okay with it, is like that topic of loneliness. So I have I have some things to think about it. So I want to talk about community.
Okay.
With like spirituality wise and then non spirituality wise. So first non spirituality. There's this guy Devin every time I talk about him, I try to say his name. I don't know it. Like I thought I knew it, and then I hear people say it, and then I always forget. Devin Levake.
Okay. Is that it?
That might be it.
Devin Levick?
Levake.
Levake? Okay.
That might be it. Levinake. Anyway, Love Levinate. Levin K. It's something like that. I'm gonna figure it out. So all his like he's an entrepreneur. If I've said this multiple times, if I could take someone's life, it would be his.
Okay.
100%. Oh man, don't be jealous or envious. Unless it grows and builds. No, I'm joking.
Unless it motivates you.
I would love to have like his life and his drives and passions. Anyway, a lot of his business and entrepreneurial stuff right now because he's built up companies and everything. And also this other guy named Jesse Itzler, who's awesome. I also really like his life. They build communities. Like that's like they make events. Like for example, Running Man. It's like the other like kind of festivals like Burning Man or like what's the other ones? Burning Man's like the main one I think of, which is like not a good thing to go to, but like any like festival or any like community where a bunch of people get together for like a specific thing. So they created like a Running Man. So like Summerfest,
Okay.
it's all music.
Yeah.
Out in Wisconsin, which it's a weird spot to have like Summerfest. Which by the way, do you know Summerfest is one of the largest like summer concerts?
Really? I didn't
And
know
it's in
that.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
That's crazy.
It's far.
It's
That's
far
where I
from
live.
us right now,
Yeah.
but that's insane.
So they make a lot of communities. So for example, Running Man, they get a bunch of people together and like it's all about running and doing saunas and cold plunges and like health.
Oh,
But
that's
he
kind of cool.
creates communities, and I often think about that because like if me and you were to go, like we go there and people get to know each other off of things they have in common.
Mm.
Imagine you're around 100 plus people that all have the same value and same drive and same passion as you. Like,
Yeah.
think about what you can talk about.
Right.
Last week, I believe we talked about negativity and how it's
Yeah.
something easy to talk about. But think about this, where it's like everything that's plentiful and good for you,
Yeah.
beneficial, and you all agree on it and you have strong feelings. Like, that's an awesome spot to be. So he
Yeah.
builds a bunch of communities, and that brings people together, and then also then drives revenue in different sorts of ways. And then real quick, and then on spirituality, um, like think about the church. Like
Mhm.
you do not need to go to church to be saved and have a relationship with God, but and I think you can attest to it, and you can even refer to where it's not in the Bible potentially. But it talks about how like it is important to be in church, to be around like-minded people, and like be in a like an environment where everyone's lifting each other up, and you're not like out on like your mission,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like everyone's feeding into each other. um and then like even the people that challenge loneliness and they get depression
Right.
as well, it's like if you can find a community, you find friends that love and support you and lift you up, like great things happen.
Yeah, I feel like there's safety in there as well. Like not feeling like you're an outcast or feeling like whatever. I heard something. I heard someone say that people don't leave a church because of the pastor. They leave a church because of people,
Yeah.
of like their like community. And if they feel disconnected, that's when they leave. It's not the pastor, which I thought was so fascinating. Um, I even think that they even asked people like people, just maybe a handful of people, like, would you leave the church? No, I wouldn't leave it. Or something. Or why? Well, because my friends are here or my family's here or whatever. It's like the community. Obviously, like the pastor's like the head of the shepherd of it, which a great pastor takes a church to heights, to mountains, over mountains, through mountains, everything. But it's just crazy that it's about a community. um yeah, you're right. Like,
I mean, real quick before you move on from
yeah,
that, you don't want to be a church with small groups. You want to be small, what is it, with
you don't
that.
want to be a church that has a church that has.
You don't have like small groups within the church. You want a church with small groups or something. Like
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know.
something like
The
that.
whole point. I'm sorry. It's
No,
much
that's
longer
good.
than what I was trying to say there, but it's like that's why there's so much focus on creating our life groups that
Right.
we have at like our church.
Yeah. And yeah, like we went to a conference where they were talking about that, about having like groups instead of just having like just a regular service, like do something different, build a community with people. And I think it's so genius. It's just so genius because we're not people of that that have to we're not people that are individual in their life. You're not just with yourself. Like you're not made that way. You're not made to just be by yourself the whole time. Even like introverts. Like I think you should definitely like talk to people and get to know people and really reach out because it's dangerous to be in your own thoughts because who's to tell you otherwise?
And think about like one of the worst punishments when you get in prison
What is that?
when they do and I knew what it was, the word. Um it's the complete lockdown where you're completely by yourself.
Oh, in I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Where
In yeah,
um they take only you and you put you in a small room.
yeah.
Self proclaimment, self containment. Anyway, the one of the worst things in prison that they can do is put a prisoner in a room by himself, like no sunlight, no anything, like
Yeah.
not any interaction with people.
Hmm.
Um, there's like all that sense of community. I mean, people move across the country for
I know.
community.
It's crazy.
People move. People move across the state to go to be nearer to like their church,
Yeah.
which my life has been church. So that makes sense. But like people that like don't do church for their life, but like rather just attend it on Sundays and like
Yeah.
love and stuff like that, like them moving, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I would do the same, but like I feel like I'm different. But then I guess they're
Yeah.
different as well.
It's like we're all looking for those people that we fit in with,
Yeah.
those people that really connect with, and I like talking about the importance of church, like going to it. I love that
Yeah. Are you going
because
to?
yeah, in Corinthians it talks about how like it just talks about the body of Christ, right? Um like talking about how we need each other and we need each other's talents and stuff like that because it makes us strong. It makes us like what is good to have two hands? Like it's not good. Why I'm missing an arm or I'm missing a leg or all that stuff. I think that there's when you have that sense of community, it just makes people stronger. And on top of that, just being able to be with someone, just talk, communicate. Iron sharpens iron. Like being able to build this bond, build this relationship. Like I love that God saw Adam and he was alone. And there was a reason why God brought him Eve, so that way he has this sense of community, sense of this family, sense of this. He's not alone. And I think talking about loneliness, it's definitely a scary place to be, and I've been there. It's definitely scary because when I dealt with pride, that's what all I felt was alone. I felt like it was just me and I was fighting for myself when in reality it wasn't like that. But when you feel alone, you neglect everyone else around you. You start to think horrible thoughts. You start to question things. But that's literally just because you're just by yourself. And when you're just by yourself, no one can tell you that you're wrong. No one can tell you that you're right, but you believe that you're right. No one can give you strength. You're just working yourself in a circle, which I think is just so, it's just such a, if you're in that position, reach out to someone. Just tell someone how you feel and just like help, ask for help. I think that's one of the biggest things that people are afraid of because it says that the Bible says that the devil's like a prowling lion going here and there around the land, right? Which is crazy. Just constantly just going, looking for someone to devour. And I love how much like the word reflects like wildlife. You know what I'm saying? Like how it refers to each other, so we can kind of see it in real picture in real time. Like with lions, like it says the devil's like a prowling lion. Well, what does a prowling lion look? And you can see that they're looking for the weak one. They're looking for the one that's just by themselves, looking for the one that's like maybe a little injured. And what's cool about that, on the same token, is if you have a strong community, they also know who's weak. They also know who they need to protect, and they protect them as well. And when you just have such a strong bond with people, nothing can come against it. I remember when all of our friends were like going through stuff, and we had like the sit down meeting, and we basically were saying, legitimately just like getting the all the junk out of each other, telling each other how we feel. Like, I remember I got a lot of criticism, constructive criticism, and I think looking back at it, I used to like be like, why did we do that? But looking back at it, it just showed that it showed each other where we view each other and what we can do better, because those are the people you want to hear it from. You don't want to hear it from some random stranger.
Yeah.
Like, that was our community builder, and now I feel like we all understand each other, and now we know what our imperfections are, and then we're able to change that instead of just being alone and thinking that we're perfect.
Yeah.
So I know I just went on a whole rabbit trail there.
No, like I just think what you kind of did was just bring up more perspective into the importance of like not being alone.
Hmm.
And it's funny because like there's community in everything.
Right.
Like the weirdos
Yeah.
that like have like a super niche
Hmm.
kind of community that can develop to like the very like generalized of like as big as which do you like soccer? Do you like football? Like
Yeah.
that's a community of people that love football. And then all the way to like, who's into red Uno cards that
Mm.
are from the year 1983,
Right.
and you have a community
Yeah.
there. And the reason why I use those examples, like you then even have, it's funny because they don't realize it, a community of people that are lonely.
Hmm.
You realize it, like there's people that like feel alone, and they're not the only person that feels alone.
Yeah.
And like that's where it kind of goes to tying it back to the start. It's like the 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 two commandments, like the most important commandments. The two important commandments are love God and love your neighbor like as yourself. It's
Yeah.
talking about love, in which love is a commandment as well. That's not like a choice or feeling you get to do. It's a choice. It's not like a feeling you get to have. And it's just like to combat any of that loneliness is like
Mm.
that's how you do it. And then even tying in the
Right.
UFC thing, like the teams are a community.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think straight up loneliness is just a lie. And when I know that sounds harsh. That sounds crazy to say. But the reason why I say it's and when I say that it's a lie, this is what I mean. I mean that it's something that we bought into. That we're the only people that feel this way. We're the only people that feel like, and I'm speaking from experience, we're the only ones that deal with this. But in reality, it's just we haven't opened up. And there's some people, and I apologize for saying such a harsh thing, but there's some people who like legitimately just keep getting rejected, and that's a very very sad place where they get rejected from people they don't feel like they have a community, but they're actually trying. What would be advice you would give to someone like that? Someone who maybe has tried to build a community. They're listening and they go, I've tried to make friends with people. I tried to build this circle, but I just feel like I can't connect.
Yeah. Do you have the thoughts?
I kind of asked the
So my thought is, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say, is that one at that start, if this is multiple times, you need to self reflect. Think about like
mm,
what you're doing. If you're a selfish, if you're a selfish person, maybe if you're not good at giving or caring or also meeting the needs of the other people within the community or friends, I would check on that. And then second to that, after you do that or whatever, and you solve the problem, honestly, you gotta keep trying.
mm,
You're gonna find the community. You're gonna find the group. You're gonna find the person. Do something you like. Like break it down as simple. If you're a guy trying to get a girlfriend and you want a girl that likes the same things that you, continue having your life and doing the things you like, and you'll enjoy it. If you love reading books, go to a library.
mm,
When you're at the library, look for other people in the library, and then start talking to them.
yeah.
Come up. This is something crazy. I forgot when it happened when I realized this, but little kids, like, God loves like children and have like childlike faith, and then you hear all these stories of like what we aspire to be, and then you look at, if you have like a good a child's life, like you're outside playing and running around, being active,
Mm-hmm.
like you have just so many like good healthy attributes and traits for yourself
Yeah.
that like you should continue applying to life. You should never grow up from being a kid. But one of them is the fact that it's so mind blowing that everyone's a friend. They
Mm.
don't see any color. They don't see any deformities. They don't see any um uh guy or girl. They don't see any of that stuff. They come up with, "Can I play?"
Yeah.
Like, dude, one
Wow.
time, this is
That's
not supposed
good.
to make it sound weird or whatever, but we were playing tag on a playground. Me, you, and I'm throwing Tristan on the bus as well, so we don't all. Me and you sound weird. Playing tag with your family, which he's the eldest of seven, correct?
Mhm.
So he has like some younger kids, and we're playing playground, and there's other kids with like their parents around the playground. The kids come up to us playing tag, and they, "Can I play?"
Yeah.
And they don't know us at all. I don't know them, and I go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And then all the young kids just start playing with each other like they know each other.
Yeah.
And it's like it goes back to that. And the thing that stinks is because as time goes on, we become more insecure. We get more in our own head. I think that's like the same thing, but different way to say it. You get more self conscious. That's a third way to say insecure, I guess. Um, but you get more of like shy,
Mm-hmm.
nervous, all these sorts of things,
Right.
and you get away from being like that kid that
Yeah.
like is totally fine with going and being like, "Hey, can I play?"
Yeah.
And like the worst thing you could ever experience, and I'm taking a lot of this stuff when I was like single and I like talking about like talking to girls. The worst you could experience is like no. I mean, like, can I tell you a story about being rejected?
Yeah.
There's this girl that I met at like a camp, and we got in a conversation about like actually her grandma passing away. Um, and I guess she didn't like. I didn't say anything bad, but like she didn't like whatever thoughts on something for like I'm not even gonna talk about it. But she didn't like me for that reason. I didn't do anything bad. I sound bad? It
No.
sounds like they think it's something horrible.
You basically you guys were talking about e- you don't want to talk.
I mean, are you
It
gonna even make it sound better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
I think you guys were just talking about a topic where you both had different beliefs.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. We
Yeah.
have two different beliefs on something, and she just she believes something else. So she didn't like me. Anyways, but I thought she was like pretty. And so time goes on. She's like talking to my friend and things like that. And then I'm like, "Hey, yo, my friend." I'm like, DM her and say, "Hey, yo, you interested in doing something with Braden?" Because this is a long time past. And after that, I've like seen her and like hung out with her. And so he DMs her. And uh and then so like they're going back and forth, and it gets to the point where like, "Hey, would you like ever go on a date with Braden?" And she goes, "No, never." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like freaking out. I'm like, "Dude, like, how do I just get to like a no? Get the never out,
Yeah.
get the never out." But like, how do I get to no? And then I think goes back to what I was saying before. It's like the worst thing of rejection is just like, "No, I'm okay," like things like that. But
Yeah.
then there's always another. Like even with sales, like there's a guy Jordan Belfort, his whole like a lot of salesmen have like different marketing strategies and sales techniques to get as much sales as you can.
Yeah.
And his thing is like, if it's going nowhere, cut it loose. He goes, his thing is like go out and see 300 people in a day
Mm.
versus seeing 50 people in a day and winning 50 people. He's like, I'd rather you go see 300 people and you get 50 versus seeing 50 people and getting like 41 or
Yeah.
even like 38 people. So like the percentage is much better with the 50 people and stuff. But he's like, just go see people, go see people, go see people, and
Yeah.
get answer and like talk to them, try to sell them. And when it's going nowhere, just move on.
Yeah.
So it's like I think that goes back to like the loneliness. Like the question you asked me is like one, self reflect, see
Yeah.
if you're doing something that's off putting, and then second of all, like just keep on trying because you will find your community. But
Right.
what's your thoughts?
Well, I think I mean, yeah, I think you nailed it like perfectly. I think you talked about how it's important just to keep trying. It's like never give up, never get to that place where you give up. But also, like look at what may be the reason why people may turn away. And I think that there's always improvement that you can do in your life. Am I too needy? Or am I too I say things that maybe I think are funny but other people may think is rude? Am I blunt? Am I, you know what I'm saying? Like almost like take a view of what am I saying? What am I doing? Is it making people feel good or is it pushing people away? Do you
I'm
have something
sorry.
on that?
Yeah. No, my big thing is like people romanticize loneliness.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
completely. Like the romanticizing something. So that term,
Mhm.
I like the term. I think it's pretty cool, but it can be used a lot of different. Another term, another word I like, endurance. That can be a totally different topic
Do
another
you still
day.
like reverence?
Like holding something in reverence. Yeah, that's
Okay,
cool.
okay.
But like recently endurance, I'm like because I was teaching. I think I was teaching honestly the same lesson,
Yeah.
and I was like, man, I like that word. It's like each time I teach that lesson at school, I think, man, endurance is a great word. Um, but like people romanticize loneliness.
Mm,
Yeah, just me going home, just me being lonely. I don't have anyone, and like they think they're like they're sad and like they're feeling these things, but like they almost like enjoy it. It's
mm.
something they almost brag about. It's
I
something
see
that
what you're
like they're
saying.
like, yeah, but I'm just lonely,
Yeah.
and like they're not fond of the situation, but they dwell in it and they romanticize it and they make
Wow.
it like a
That's
part
good.
of their personality.
Yeah. That's that's amazing. I think I think that's
Sorry, I kind of
amazing.
interrupted
No,
you. I'm gonna say something else.
I like
You can
that
say what you're gonna
because I
say.
think that's so true. It's also dangerous just to dwell, just to be in your own thoughts, to think that whatever, enjoy the pain when you can
Like when
try.
you're sad, you listen to sad music. Like you
Yeah.
shouldn't do that.
Like don't be like I heard someone say dress for the thing that you want to be.
Just for the job that you want.
Just yeah. So listen to the music you want to be like positive. Listen to K Love. This is sponsored by K Love. But if you want to be healthy, hang out and watch things that are dude, like even for example, like talking about the loneliness and go and just be around people. You don't even need to talk. Just be around people. I've noticed that um I was watching workout influencers and then I would just like be like, oh man, I want to get jacked. I want to do this. I want to work out. And then I slowly turned to like Minecraft. And then like working out wasn't like the biggest thing in my mind, but it was just something I did. It wasn't like a motivation of trying to reach a goal. And then I switched to food things, like food reviews or certain things that are just like entertaining. And I realized, man, I'm kind of hungry. So it's like whatever you put in front of your eyes, whatever you listen to, whatever you allow into your temple will produce. It will, like, if you're reading God's word, God will, you will feel you will feel God with you constantly because you're reading Him, you're reading about His stories, about His grace, about His love, and all that knowledge will just fill you with so much light. So I think it's so true not to just dwell in it, but dress for the dress for the feeling or emotion or friends that you want to be a part of. And it's not like you're faking it. Don't fake it. But like if you want to work out, then hang out with Braden. If you wanna like be musically inclined,
Hang out with
hang out
Caeden.
hang out with both Braden and Caden. Like
Hang out with Caeden.
hang out with people that are just like that you want to be like. And I think to like close this out, I would like to talk about something a little bit lighter and it like something really short of maybe I don't know. Have you ever had a story or some maybe a testimony of feeling lonely but like breaking through that and just feeling like just amazing with people? Like how I said I dealt with pride and I felt like I was the only person that was doing that and then I broke out of that and I just learned that it was just myself telling me that I was alone.
Yeah, I don't know. All the times I felt alone has been all my own doing,
Mm,
where been lied to, or lied to myself, saying that I haven't had people actually care for me or want to do things for me. And that just goes to like your self talk. Like, do not you have so much power in your words.
Yeah.
And if you speak negatively or you think about yourself negatively, that's what's going to happen.
I
The
like
self
that.
fulfilling prophecy. Like, talk positive, be
Mhm.
positive. A good day is a simple math equation. I've talked about it in past podcasts, so check it out in the past if you want to hear it because we're wrapping this up. But
Yeah.
you have a lot of control. And loneliness, don't romanticize it. There are situations where you are alone, but
Mhm.
you're never truly alone.
Yeah.
You have God. You
Right.
have someone. You have that your provider. You have someone with that. And then if you're trying to get into new communities, join a church.
Mhm.
Go to a church that has the same beliefs that you have. If you already do the church thing and you still feel lonely and you love books, go to library. Go to Barnes and Noble.
But still go to church, but like go to libraries.
Like if you're already
Yeah.
in a church. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah. Okay, okay, yeah.
And then you're doing the social thing. But yeah, that's not what we were supposed to talk about today.
It
But I think
wasn't.
that went well.
I thought it went great.
All started from Patty the Batty
Yeah.
Pimblett
Going crazy, dude.
beating someone up,
I'm
trying to
excited.
choke him unconscious,
I'm
and
excited
then
to see that video.
he had like 10 people take him off.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling that way, reach out to someone, tell someone that you can trust, that you know will reciprocate it, and just be open with them. I learned that just being as open as you possibly can to a mentor literally changes your life. It changes your perspective.
Yeah, vulnerability shows like true confidence and strength.
Wow. I didn't that was BC Procast episode 72. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Turn on the notifications. Read your word. It's just knowledge at your fingertips that God has just opened up to you. Read about Him. Pray. Make sure you pray. Make sure you tell Him how you feel. Pray about loneliness. If you're feeling alone, ask God to bring. Ask God to bring someone to you. To find a community. To get His love, get His grace, and comment
Down your favorite place to go when you have free time.
That's
If it's a
good.
coffee shop, rock climbing, adventure rock, or something like that, or racetrack driving, or golfing,
Or the NBA
or
games.
NBA
Like,
games. Comment down where you like to go on your free time.
yeah. Hey, this is BC Procast. We filled your curiosity. See you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.